All right. Well, so let's get started. Rabbi, thank you for the coffee. All right, so we'll say good morning. We are picking up page Kuf Chaf, still in Parak Yud Aleph. So we're actually gonna move forward a little bit. So we spoke about yesterday regarding the issues of Chil Hashem. Actually, we're picking up right where we left off. So we spoke about, Sheker, lying, Chil Hashem. So this morning we pick up V'gam Hine Gam Shmiras HaShabbosos V'yomim Tovim Rabbi. So now remember again, speaking on the theme of Averos, that sometimes people transgress the laws. And now we're switching gears a little bit, because really up until now, the Ramchal was focusing on, in page Kuf Chaf, was focusing on interpersonal Averos. Here now he's transitioning a little bit. But again, the theme is the same, which are Averos that we transgress frequently without even realize that I'm actually transgressing something. So he says the next category is Shabbos and Yom Tov. The laws of Shabbos and Yom Tov, ki ha-mishpatim rabim, because there are many, many laws associated with Shabbos and Yom Tov. V'chein amru hilchos rabsa l'shabsa. V'afilu divrei hashvos, af al pi yishum divrei chachamim him, ikarim him. And for example, Shabbos we know has biblical malachas daraisas, but has many, many dirabbanans, concepts that we call a shavus, right? A shavus being things that the rabbis legislated in order to maintain an atmosphere of serenity and rest around Shabbos. These are dirabbanans, but even though they're dirabbanans, ultimately again ikarim heim, they are of primary importance. V'chein amru li'olam al tihi shavus kala beinecha. Chazal said, do not let a dirabbanan be light in your eyes. Shari smicha shavusi v'nechluku ba gidali hadar. V'ulen prati adin lemachlokosam muvu arim heim tap of kuf chaf aleph eitz la poskim b'sifreihem v'chulam shavim lechavosinu ula ziros hamitzdarech. So remember again, so here you have Shabbos, and again, we just started our Hilchos Shabbos Chabura on Monday nights, which is it's a lot of fun, but it's amazing to see that you take one little issue, right? 2 weeks ago we spoke about setting coffees on timers, coffee percolators on timers. This past week we saw opening bottles on Shabbos. And you think opening bottles on Shabbos, what's the big deal? And when you realize that the discussion revolves around 6 different malachas. 6 different malachas. Right? Is it mutter? Is it us? The Chazon Ish, Rav Moshe, Rav Aji Yosef, right? So again, the details are voluminous, but the details are exceptionally important. And whether those details are of a rabbinic nature, of a biblical nature, they are dramatically important. So what's the challenge? So we'll say, so the truth is, that is challenge number 1. It's just the sheer amount of details involved in Shabbos and Yom Tov. Right? And even on Yom Tov, what's permitted, what's not permitted, what falls under the umbrella of Ochel Nefesh, what doesn't fall under the umbrella of Ochel Nefesh. So that's challenge number 1. Anytime that you have an area of halacha that has so many details, that carries with it its own challenges. And as such, because there are so many details, what often happens, albeit unintentionally, is I transgress. Not my kavana chas v'shalom. My intention is to do the right thing. My intention is to observe Shabbos according to halacha. But at the end of the day, if you don't know, you don't know. So that's challenge number 1. The sheer volume of details, and sometimes my lack of knowledge regarding those details, creates a difficult reality in which I am transgressing Shabbos and Yom Tov and not even realize that I'm doing something wrong. Next. So we'll say, what's the real challenge of Shabbos? Okay, so the good news about the details is what? I can learn them. Right? I could always learn, I could absorb that information. But what's the real challenge? You know what the real challenge is? The real challenge is to not talk about business. That's the real challenge. So we'll say, what does it mean not to talk about business? So interestingly enough, the real challenge of Shabbos is lav dafka in the observance of the lamites malachas. That I can become proficient in. The challenge of Shabbos ultimately is what? is adjusting how I talk. What do I talk about? He goes on, he says, V'ulam ha'isr zemuvor b'divrei hanavi. Because remember again, on Shabbos, one is obligated to change what they talk about, and this isser is discussed in the words of the Navi. What does the Navi say? V'chi barato me'asos trachacha mimtzo chafatzecha v'daber dover. So we'll say the Navi Yeshaya says, literally, v'chi barato, you will respect and honor the Shabbos day. How? Me'asos trachacha. From not going ahead and doing your regular activities, from not going down your regular derech, mimtzo chafatzecha, from not obtaining your things, v'daber dover, and by reframing the way you speak. What we speak about on Shabbos must be dramatically different than what I speak about during the week. V'aklalhu, shekhoma sha'asar b'Shabbos la'asosa. Let's listen to this. Whatever you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, asr lehishtadel ba'avuro, you're not supposed to put in any effort towards it on Shabbos. In other words, I'm not supposed to put in effort even if I'm not performing the malacha. O laskiro b'fiv, I'm not even supposed to talk about it. Anything you can't do, you're not supposed to even talk about. V'lochin asr la'ayim b'nechasav liros mashetzach l'machar. So, for example, again, if I have fields, I'm not supposed to go ahead and look at my fields on Shabbos. I'm not doing anything on Shabbos, but I'm going to look at the fields on Shabbos to see what I have to do on Sunday. Or I shouldn't go to the edge of the city so that the moment that Shabbos is over, I can go to the bathhouse. Whatever, don't. This is an idea of hachana. And it's asur to say, davar ploni es alamachar. It is asur to say, I'm going to perform this particular thing on Shabbos. Tomorrow. Right? It's prohibited to say it's prohibited on Shabbos to plan what you're going to do tomorrow. O schora plonis ekne is prohibited to say, you know what, I'm going to purchase this merchandise tomorrow. So says Ramchal, isn't this incredible? Herein lies the challenge of Shabbos. Right? So there's lamates malachas I could learn and I could get down. I could handle that. The greater challenge of Shabbos ultimately is reframing the way I talk and what I talk about. How I talk and what I talk about. And the need for Shmir Shabbos requires me to literally, again, whatever you can't do, you can't talk about. It requires a fundamental reframing of a mindset. Says the Ramchal, this becomes the challenge of Shabbos. And so many people end up transgressing, albeit often inadvertently, because when you're used to talking a certain way 6 days of the week, it's hard to turn that off on Shabbos Kodesh. So he goes on, he says in page Kuf Chaf Aleph, the paragraph is Yud. V'inei ad heina dibarti v'inei ktsasa mitzvos, ma sha'anu roim shebnei adam nichshalam b'hem ala rov, u'me'ila nilmad l'chol shar lavin. So we'll say, as Ramchal begins to wind down a little. No, I shouldn't say that. It's not really wind. We still have a little while. But the Ramchal says, what have we done until now? We've spoken a little bit about some of the common averos that people transgress. And again, remember, not intentionally. The point of Parak Yud Aleph, says that Ramchal, is to show you how many details are associated with our Shmiras HaMitzvos and how easy it is to transgress if one does not have an acute awareness in the way they live, in the way they conduct themselves, and in the mitzvos they perform. So I've given you examples of mitzvos with many appendages, many tentacles, and therefore mitzvos that are easily transgressed. But what's the point? Ume'ila nilmad l'chol shar lavin. And I will say, I'm just giving you examples, but the examples I give you here are to set the model for the rest of the Torah as well. So we're going to stop over here with this. We're going to pick up with this theme in Parak Yud in Meretz Hashem tomorrow. Okay. All right, we'll say good morning. Today's daf is Chaf Aleph. We are picking up on Chaf Amud Beis. We have a lot to do today. So we'll say we left off on Chaf Amud Beis in the wide lines 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 lines up from the bottom. The last two words line V'chi Mehemni. So we'll say so our shir this month are dedicated by Adam Yudit Ben Zev. Le'ilui Nishmas, Adam's grandfather Moshe David Ben Shalom, and in honor of Adam's grandmother Helen Nachman and his parents Eli and Judy Ben Zev for serving as incredible role models. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu grant them arichos yamim v'shanim. And also with that, let's begin. Umi mehemni. So we'll say, if you remember again, the Gemara told the story of Yolsa. Yolsa was the wife of Rav Nachman. So remember again, Yolsa brought a mare. She brought a stain before Rabbi Barachana, and he was metameit. She then brought it before Rabbi Yitzchak, and Rabbi Yitzchak was metaheret. So remember again, we said, how could that be? The halacha is, once a chacham is metame something, another chacham can't be metame. So remember again, we saw the story that Yolsa said to Rabbi Yitzchak, really this coloration Rabbi Yitzchak always said was tahar. I see he's suffering from some type of eye ailment, and the reason he declared it tamei must be because of compromised vision. To which the Gemara says, to which Rabbi Yitzchak said, okay, and was then metaher the stain. So mi mehemni. So ultimately, again, why is she believed in this situation? The Gemara says, yes, she is. V'atanya ne'emenes ishalomar kazera isi ve'avarati. Rabbi says again, listen to this interesting halacha. If a woman does a badika and she finds a stain on the badika cloth, and she says she comes to the person who's asking the shaila to, and she says, listen, I lost the badika cloth, but the color was like so and so, right? She pulls out her Home Depot paint chart, right, and says, the color was like this, right? So the halacha is she's believed. So the Gemara says, but say what happens if she says, let's say a woman goes ahead and has a stain. She's had this same color. She's asked a Rav before. The Rav paskin that the color is okay. Is she simply believed to go ahead and say, you know what, this color before, the particular Rav was metarit, and therefore I don't have to show it again? Tashma, ne'emenes ishalomar kazera isi vivadativ. To which the Gemara says, yes, because after all, again, a woman is believed to say, I saw this type of color on the badika cloth, and then I lost the cloth. To which the Gemara says, well, that's not necessarily a comparable case, because shiny hasam, the lesse lekama. But it could very well be that the halacha is different when the badika cloth is no longer in existence. If the badika cloth is not in existence, so she may be believed ultimately to say, this was the color and I lost it. But if the badika cloth is in existence, it could very well be that the halacha would be that under normal circumstances, we would make her show it. So the Gemara goes on with this. So first of all, the halacha is that a woman absolutely has ne'emanos on these things. Meaning if she's absolutely clear on the color, and she knows she's asked the shaila on this color before, and the color is fine, she's not mechuyeves to ask again. That's how we pass halacha l'maisa. So Tashma, the Yolsa, but the issue over here that we're having in the case of Yolsa is a more problematic issue, not with Yolsa. The problematic issue is with Rabbi Barchana and Rabbi Yitzchak. Ultimately, again, one Rav giving a conflicting psak with another Rav. So Tashma, the Yolsa, I see Damei Lekamed Rabbi Barchana, Vitamile, so Yolsa brought a mare before Rabbi Barachana, and he was metameyet. The kamed Rabbi Yitzchak braid Rabbi Yehuda. V'dachile. She then brought it before Rabbi Yitzchak, and Rabbi Yitzchak was metayeret. V'hechi avid hachi. How could Rabbi Yitzchak have done this? V'atanya chacham shetimein chaver rashay l'tayr. Rabbi say we learned that before. That's what once a Rav paskins on something, another Rav doesn't have the ability. And Rabbi say now obviously this presupposes that both Rabbanim are capable, right? If somebody paskin, a lot of people paskin on a lot of different stuff, right? That doesn't exactly make it a binding psak. But again, assuming that the first person is of the caliber to be able to make a psak, then the second Rav shouldn't come along and contradict it. To which the Gemara says, Varminan. Tamuye have metamile, kevan da amrile dechal yoma matchile ki agafna va'idnuhu dechash be'ene hadar dachila. So we'll say, so remember again, after the Gemara says, what's the context here? The context here is Yolsa said to Rav Yitzchak, I've always shown this color to Rabbi Bar Chana, and he was always metaheret. today, for some reason, he was metameit, and I think it's because he's suffering from an eye ailment. That's when Rabbi Yitzchak heard that he said, okay, and he declared it tahar. So we'll say ultimately, again, he's not contradicting Rabbi Yitzchak. Instead, what is he doing? He's accepting Yossa's clarification of events. So we'll say, what do you see from here? Alma mehemnila. So we'll say it's unequivocally clear here that when it comes to Hilchos Niddah, obviously a woman's understanding of the circumstances, she's absolutely believed. To which the Gemara says that might be true, but there's also another alternative story to this over here, which is Rav Yitzchak bar Yehuda Agmare Samach. We'll say it's also possible that Rabbi Yitzchak ultimately again had a different Masorah for this color. So it could be about say, so look at Rashi this moment, Agmari Samach, Dipshita le ditar, V'hai dehava metame me'ikari mushum kvoda drab arachana. Aval ihava mesapka le lahava samach. I'm supposed to listen to this. See, interestingly enough, it could be that Rabbi Yitzchak had his own Masorah. His Masorah for Hilchos Niddah said that the color that Yelsa showed him was absolutely fine. The reason he originally declared it tamei was out of deference to Rabbi Yitzchak. Once Rabbi Yitzchak paskined on it, he's not going to re-paskin on it. But once Yelsa said that there's a suffix about what Rabbi Bar Chana said, then Rabbi Yitzchak relied on his own Masorah. So in other words, the Gemara wanted to take this as a raya that you see Yelsa is believed, that a woman is believed regarding this. The Gemara says that might be true, but you might not be able to glean that from this story, because it's also possible that Rabbi Yitzchak's shita regarding this particular color that Yelsa brought to him was that it was tahor. The only reason he declared it tamei was out of deference to Rabbi Yitzchak. But once he also told him the background information too, once he also told him background information to Rabbi Rachana's eye ailment, Rabbi Yitzchak went ahead and then used his own Masorah to paskin on this. Okay? Rabbi, it's an interesting Gemara. Rabbi ra'adam balayla. V'timei. So listen to this story. So Rabbi one time looked at a mara, one time he looked at a bedika cloth at night, and he declared it tamei. Ra'a bayom v'tiher. He looked at it again by day, and he said that it's tar, meaning it looked different by day. Himtin sha'achos. He waited another hour. Chazar v'timei, and he declared it tamei again. So it says, listen to this. Amar oili. So right, this is his response. Oh my gosh, what is going? Woe to me. Shema ta'isi. Right, maybe I've made a mistake in this psak. The Gemara says, Shema ta'isi. Maybe you made a mistake. Nothing like hitting someone there down, right? Vadaita, you certainly made a mistake. Tisanya. Lo yomar chacham. I will say for one simple reason. I will say this is incredible. Why? Lo yomar chacham ilu hayalach hayavaday tamei. I will say, listen to this. When looking at a badika, so a chacham cannot say, the truth is now it looks okay, but that's because it dried a little bit. Had I seen it when it was moist, then ultimately, again, it certainly would have been a problematic color. Ella, so the Gemara says, Ella Amr, ein lo ledayin ella mashe'in of rose. So we'll say this is actually an incredible statement, not just for Hilchos Niddah, but for life, right? Ein l'dayin ladon ela mashe'in of ro'os. The only thing you can make your judgments based on in life is what you see in front of your eyes. You can't. In other words, you can speculate, and if you speculate, ein l'davar sof. Therefore, the only thing you can manage. So therefore, I will say this is incredible for Hilchos Niddah, because this happens all of the time. Sometimes the shaila is asked, and the shaila is not asked immediately. Right, so then the shah is asked after a couple of hours. Sometimes for different circumstances, it could be asked the next day or the day after. In which case, again, it's possible and maybe even probable that the nature of the mara has changed. Because of passage of time, because of drying up, because of exposure to air, depending where it was left. It's always possible. But at the end of the day, when the psak is rendered, it's rendered based on what the posik or what the Rav sees in front of him at that time. So the Gemara says, Me'ikara achsekei b'tamei. So we'll say originally when Rabbi was looking at this, he assumed it was tamei. Kevan dechazel safra de ishtani, but in the morning he saw that it had changed. So Amar vaday tar, it must have been really tar. Ubalaylahu delo is chazi shapir, and the reason at night I declared it tamei is not because it was wrong with the mara, but rather what? Because I couldn't see properly at night. Kevan dechazel de hadar ishtani, but once he saw that it changed again an hour later, Amar hay tamehu. Umifkach hu dekapach. Umifkach hu dekam mifchach va'azel. Look at Rashi. Mifchach mara ad mumiso overes. Rather, it just must be that the red itself is fading. Hilchach hadr lemilsei kamaisa vitime. V'adarmin elo dain elamashin avros. Heichadalo achze kishuhulach v'lo idmi leketame. So we'll say ultimately again. So the Gemara is just giving us a window into Rabbi. Rabbi didn't know what was happening over here. We'll see, by the way, part of the issue was looking at it at night. So he looked at it at night and he looked at it by day. All of this filled with speculation about what had happened with this stain. So we'll say, so just in general, that's why the halacha accepts the premise of ein lo l'dayon ela masha'in of ro'os. That at the end of the day, when it comes to Chos Niddah, we don't speculate on what was, we just speculate, or we paskin based on what is. And even if there's a very real possibility, the way it looks now ultimately again is different than the way it had looked, we paskin based on what it is now. So the Gemara will say, so this story of Rabbi yields the next piece of Gemara. Rabbi badak la'araner. Rabbi obviously used to check bedikos by candlelight, right? That's the story we just saw before. Rabbi Shal Rabbi Yossi badik bayom hamu'unan b'nei amudei. Rabbi Shal Rabbi Yossi would check only on a cloudy day and between the pillars. Right, between the pillars. So I'll say, what's the pshat between the pillars? So between the pillars is a little bit, so first of all, it's cloudy, so the sun's not out. Between the pillars is even a little bit darker. Because of the shadow of the pillars, it's even a little bit more of a muted light. The Gemara says, Rabbi Ami bar Shmuel says, and everyone would agree that what? You cannot go ahead and you have to check it ben chamal etzel. When I say ben chamal etzel, literally means at the point where the sunlight ends and the shade begins. The idea is that we don't check maros. We check maros in daylight, not in sunlight. So you want to check it out. So we check it outside by natural light, but ultimately, again, not in the light of the sun, out of a concern that the brightness of the sun ultimately, again, could give you a distorted view of the coloration. So the Gemara says, Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Bar Avua Bechama Uvetzel Biyado. So Rashi is over here, Betzel Biyado. No sin Yado Keneged Chama Al Adam Eitz. So we'll say, so here, Rabbi Avua actually says what you would do is you hold it with Dikla, you hold the sun, you hold your other hand, blocking the sun, and that way again you have the daylight but not the sunlight. And I will say that is halacha l'maisa. Halacha l'maisa is we check bedikos only by daylight, not in the sun, not directly in the sun, but again in a shaded area where you have natural light but not sunlight. The exception to this rule is halacha l'maisa if a woman has a shayla on leil tevila. So the shayla leil tevila, so there are poskim that hold that you could check a bedika cloth by artificial light, if it's shayach for that night. But otherwise, in general, again, we try to abstain from that and only check bedikas by natural light. Next, the chamazuk shnei chalakim. So we'll say, remember again, one of the colors that the Mishnah gave was kimazuk, like diluted wine. The ratio of that hue of red, the ratio of diluted wine was 2 parts water to 1 part wine. So the Gemara says, Tana, what type of wine? Hashironi nidon kikarmeli. What's the type of chafalif? So apparently again, Shironi wine from the Sharon region, right, is treated like wine from the Carmel. The Gemara says, Chai, velo mazog. These type of wines ultimately again were their redness was measured undiluted, right? Chai means raw, meaning unprocessed. Velo mazog, not diluted. Chadash, new wine. Velo yashan, not old wine. Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Avdumi. The chulan in bodkin osa ela bekos teveria. Rabbi said this is very interesting. And all of the wines, you check them in a glass cup made in Tiveria. Tiveria glass. I'll say what was unique about Tiveria glass? It's actually very interesting. So the Gemara said, because Tiveria pashat, a simple Tiverian glass. My time, what's the reason? This is incredible. Amar Abaye, Shakala olam kulo, machzik lug osin osam imane. They both say in the rest of the world, the way glass working works is if you want to make a cup, a glass that holds a lug, you have to make it out of a mana of glass. Obviously, you want to make a glass of a lug, you have to use a much greater amount of glass. Shnei lugin, if you want to make a glass that holds 2 lugin, osin osam imasayim. Close Tiveria. Tiverian glass apparently was different. Close Tiveria pashat, afilu machzik shnei lugin. Even if you want to make a large glass that holds 2 lugin, Osin osami mana. They would only make it from one mana of glass. So apparently we'll say it was very, here as Gemara says, so it was very, very thin. The glass itself was very thin, probably very fragile, but it was a very thin glass. Why is that important for us? Va'idi dekalish yada beitfei. So we'll say, remember again, interestingly enough, apparently the way you were looking at this wine was in the glass, which makes sense, because I will say, remember again, if you can imagine, if you're holding up this wine against the badika cloth, so looking at the wine inside, from the top of the glass and the badika cloth, they're not side by side. Bipashas, what you would do is, you would put the badika cloth and the bottom of the glass side by side. That you could look at side by side. The concern was that the glass itself can what? Can distort the coloration. So dafka has to be in a cup of Tavarian glass. A Tavarian glass, very thin, doesn't distort. Beautiful. Hajjan alach kalayat. I will say mazel tov. Weiter. Hamapeles chaticha. So I will say if a woman, so I will say now we're going to talk a little bit about Tumas Leida. So Mapeles chaticha, a woman see, we use the lashon of Mapeles miscarry, but I just want to point out, really we should use the word expel, because I will say miscarry always has a connotation that what? That there was a pregnancy. Right? And that there was some type of birth. We're going to see, we're dealing with cases now where she expels something from her body, but lav dafka that it was a pregnancy. So the Gemara says, so for example, amapelas chaticha, if a woman expels a chaticha, so chaticha is some piece of flesh from her body. So the Gemara says, im yeshim adam tmeya. If there's blood that accompanies the chaticha, then she is tmeya. And Rashi points out over here, tmeya because of what? Mishum niddah. So this is not a leida case of Rabbi. So this is, she's expelling some piece of flesh. Ultimately, again, so if there's dam with it, then she's tamei nida v'im lav. But ultimately, again, if halacha l'maisa, so she expels the piece of flesh and there's no accompanying blood, tahora. Rashi says over here v'im lav tahora. The lav leidahi, the leida havyo below dam nami tamei. The chsiv kimi nidas v'osatet marabos. We're going to discuss this. What the Gemara calls a leida yeveshta, a dry birth, no blood. So we'll say a lady yeveshta is still going to be Timea Tumas Leida. So what we're talking about over here, this is a Niddah case. She's expelling some type of piece of flesh. Tanakama says if there's blood with it, then she's a Niddah. If there's not blood with it, then she's a Torah. Rabbi Yehuda says, Ben kach u ben kach Timea. Rabbi Yehuda says, either way, ultimately again, she is Timea. We'll discuss why that is. So Rabbi Yehuda understands that the expelling of a piece of flesh in and of itself makes her Timea Tumas Niddah. Hamapeles kamin klipa. But say if a woman expels something that looks like a klipa, looks like a shell or a peel. Kamin sara, something that looks like hair. Kamin afar, like dirt. Kamin yavchushin. We'll say yavchushin like some type of gnats or insects. So adumin, if halacha l'maisa, what she is expelling is red. Tati l'mayim, she should put it in water. Imnamochu, if it dissolves, tmeya. So we'll say, so the ideal here is if it dissolves in water, then really what it is blood. It's blood. It's just blood that has some type of different form. Rashi says, Mishum nida de damhu. Ve'im lav, but ultimately again, if it doesn't dissolve, then what? Tahora. Then she's Torah, because it's just, I don't know what it is, but it's something else. It's not dam. So the Gemara says next, Ha'apeles kimin dogim, chagovim, shkatzim, v'ramosim. We'll say if a woman miscarries something, but it doesn't have the appearance of a person. Instead, it has the appearance of some type of dogim, of fish, chagavim, grasshopper, shkatzim, v'ramosim. What's the halacha? Im yeshi mohem dam tmeya. If there is blood that accompanies it, ultimately she's tmeya. We'll say tmeya because of what? Niddah. Remember again, if something resembles dogim, chagavim, shkatzim, v'ramosim, that's not a leida. That's not a birth. So therefore, again, this reverts back to the initial halacha in the Mishnah, which is anytime a woman expels some type of flesh, if there's blood with it, she's Tamei Niddah. If there's ve'im lav, if there's not blood with it, then tahora. Bayet hamapeles min behema chaya va'of. Let's say if a woman miscarries, and what she miscarries has the appearance of a behema, a chaya, an oaf, bein tmein, bein tahorim. Whether it's the type of animal that is kosher or not kosher, so we'll say that is considered a birth. And therefore, im zachar, teishev l'zachar, if the birth is male, then ultimately again she observes the yemei tuma and tara for a male. V'im nekeva teishev l'nekeva, and if it's a female, she observes the yemei tara and tuma for a female. V'im ein yadua, and if she does not know, teishev l'zachar ule b'nekeva divrei mer. So we'll say that lashon of Teshev Zazacha Ulin Akeva means L'chumra, Rashi says. So we'll say what that means essentially is as follows. Remember again, so we'll see in the Gemara, but Rashi says, L'chumri meituma den akeva shvu'ayim v'meitor kalam l'sof arba'im yom. She would observe the meituma of a girl, which means again for 2 weeks, but the meitohar of that's the chumrah, but the meitohar of a zocher, which would be only until the end of 40 days. So we give her the chumrus of both a zocher and an akeva. Direi Meir, the chum say, Kol she'ein bo mitzuras adam ein ovlad. The Chum say, if it does not look like a human baby, then halacha l'maisa, it is not a birth. Now again, I will say, it might be still an issue of Niddah, but it will not be an issue of Leida. So says the Gemara, I will say incredible, says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Lo timei Rabbi Yehuda ella bechaticha shel arba'as minei damim. So we'll say now, let's analyze this. Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel as follows. So Rav Yehuda, this is Rav Yehuda, saying that Rabbi Yehuda, remember, Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah said that what? If a woman expels a piece of flesh, even if there is no dam, even if there's no accompanying blood, halacha l'maisa, she is Tmeya Tumas Niddah. We're now qualifying the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. So Shmuel says Rabbi Yehuda only said that when we'll say Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph, second wide line. Rabbi Yehuda only said that with a chaticha, with a piece of flesh that is one of the problematic 4 colors. Aval shar minei damim, ultimately again, but any other type of color, tahora. So we'll say even Rabbi Yehuda would. So we'll say it's only problematic if the piece of flesh that comes out is one of the problematic colors. But if it's a different color, then halacha l'maisa, she is tahora. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Shel arba minei damim divrei hakol tamea. Everyone agrees that what if the piece of flesh is of one of the 4 problematic colors, that she's certainly going to be Tameya. Shal shar minei damim, even without what? We'll say even without what? Even without blood. Right? So again, Rabbi Yochanan is coming along and saying that if the piece of flesh that she expelled is one of the 4 problematic colors, everyone will agree that even in the absence of actual, we'll call it liquid blood, halacha l'maisa, she's Tameya. Shal shamine damim divrei hakol tahora. Similarly, if the piece of flesh is any other color, everyone will agree that she's tahora. So what's the machlokes? Here we go. Lo nechluku ela she'pila ve'eni yodas mahipila. The machlokes I will say would be where she expels something and she doesn't know what she expelled. Rabbi Yehuda savra zilbasar of chatichos. For of chatichos shamine arbas damim havyon. So Rabbi Yehuda will say, in the absence of definitive knowledge, we'll go after the rov. What does the rov say? The rov says that the majority of chatichos that a woman expels are of a problematic coloration. And therefore, again, Allah Chalamaysa shall be Tmeya. The Rabban, on the other hand, say no, there's no such rov. There's no such rov like that. And therefore, in the absence of knowing what she expelled, she'll be Tahora. Ini, is this so? V'haki asra b'oshia min arda. Asa va'isi masnisa biyadei. When Rabbi Oshia came from Narda, he brought a teaching, right? He brought a ruling in his hand. What was the ruling? Hamapeles chaticha aduma shechora yeroka ulavana. We'll say if a woman expels a piece of flesh, right, and it's either aduma shechora, it's red, or it's black, or it's yellow, or it's white, im yesh ima dam tmeya. If it has blood with it, then she's tmeya nida. Ve'im lav, but if there's no accompanying blood, then she is tahora. Rabbi Yehuda says ben kach u ben kach tmeya. Rabbi Yehuda says no matter what, she's tmeya. So we'll say again, remember, this is problematic. Kasha the Shmuel bechada, or Rabbi Yochanan betarti. According to Shmuel, this Bryce opposes one problem. According to Rabbi Yochanan, opposes 2. The Shmuel bechada. So we'll say the problem for Shmuel is as follows: the Amar Shmuel, because Shmuel said, "Lo timei Rabbi Yehuda ela bechaticha shalbas minei damim." Remember again, I will say Shmuel's interpretation of Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah was what? Then Rabbi Yehuda says that if a woman expels a piece of flesh, that she's tamei to masnida even without dam. Shmuel defined that as being a case of what? Where the piece of flesh is one of the problematic colors. The problem is, what did the Brisa just say? V'hakatani yeroka ulavana. Yet it said that what? Ultimately, again, that yet it said that the Bryce's case included a piece of flesh that is yellow or a piece of flesh that is white, and Rabbi Huda said that it's tamei as well. Maybe you'll say that Rabbi Huda was only arguing on the case of red and black, but not on the case of yellow and white, to which the Gemara says lo. So the Gemara says, I'm sorry, Aduma Shchor Araikru Levana Lo, Ella Yiroko Ulevana Laman Katanila. So if that's the case, then why did the Rabbi even bother to bring up the case of a green or a white piece of flesh? If you want to say it's according to the Rabbanan, I don't need that. Why? Hashta Aduma Shchor Metari Rabbanan Yiroko Levana Yibayir. We'll say if the rabbis already say, if the Rabbanan say that if she expels a piece of flesh that is red or black, that's tahar. That's tahar, even though again those are problematic colors. It goes without saying that a piece of flesh that is green or white will be tahar as well. Elalav l'Rabbi Yehuda. Rather, it must be that it was being stated according to Rabbi Yehuda, upalig, and Rabbi Yehuda is still arguing, which sounds like Rabbi say that that Rabbi Yehuda will say that even a piece of flesh that is green or is white will be problematic als hilchos niddah, even without blood. So we'll say, so that's the contradiction on Shmuel. So we'll say, so again, just so we're all on the same page. So remember again, we have a Mishnah. Our Mishnah started out with the case of Hampalas Chaticha. If a woman expels a piece of flesh, the Tanakama said, if there is accompanying blood, then what? Tameya, right? She's a Niddah. But if there's no blood, just a piece of flesh, she's Tahora. Rabbi Huda came along and said, no, even if there's no blood, she's still Tameya. We now have a machlokes as to how to interpret Rabbi Yehuda. Shmuel said that Rabbi Yehuda says that the piece of flesh is only Tamei when it's of the four problematic colors. But if the piece of flesh has another color, then even Rabbi Huda would agree that it's tahar. Problem now is what? We have a brisa that says that even green and white, Rabbi Huda is saying halacha l'maisa is problematic. So what do we do with that? So the Gemara goes weiter. V'su, Rabbi Yochanan, according to Rabbi Yochanan's interpretation, Da'amar shal arbas mi edam divra kol tameya, hakatani aduma u'shchora u'pligi rabbanon. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, remember, Rabbi Yochanan's interpretation of Bosai was what? Rabbi Yochanan said that if the piece of flesh is one of the four problematic colors, everyone agrees that she's tameya tumas niddah even in the absence of blood. Everyone agrees that if it's a color, ultimately again, if it's a different color other than the four, everyone would agree that's what? She's tahora. What's the point of contention between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan in the Mishnah? Is if she expels something, but she doesn't know what she expelled. Rabbi Yehuda will say we go after the rov. Rov chatichos are of a problematic color. Rabbanan do not subscribe to that rov. According to Rabbi Yochanan, Tamar shal arbamine dam divra kol tameya hakatani adumu shchoro pligi Rabbanan. Both say Rabbi Yochanan's interpretation is also being challenged. Why? Rabbi Yochanan said everyone agrees in a case of a piece of flesh that is one of the four colors, everyone agrees that it is tamei. Yet in the brisa, the Rabbanan are saying that it's tar. Upligi Rabbanan, dichitema ki pligi Rabbanan ayroko levana. So maybe you'll say the Rabbanan are only arguing on the case of the white and green. Aval aduma u'shchoralo. But in the case of red and black, they would agree that it's problematic. Ella adumo shchorlaman katanila. Then why are you even bringing up the case of red and black? Ilim Rabbi Huda, if you want to say it's Rabbi Huda, hashta yiroko levana tmei adum shchora mibai. If Rabbi Huda holds that green and white are tmei, then certainly red and black are tmei. El lav Rabbanan. Rather, it must be said according to Rabbanan, upligi. And ultimately, again, they're arguing. So we'll say, so what is the point of contention? We'll say, this is incredible. So we'll say, we're going to get here to perhaps one of the most, well, not one of the most, but an incredibly yesodistic machlok, yes? We're going to, the primary place for this is actually tomorrow's daf, but the Gemara is introducing it here. So Amar Nachman Bar Yitzchak, be'efshar lepsichas hakever below dam kamiflagi. We'll say, the shaila is there such a thing as an opening up of the uterus without a discharge of blood? But say, yesodistic machlokes, that at the end of the day, if the uterus is open, do we assume that every time the uterus is open, ultimately there's a discharge, even if we don't see anything? We assume that there was a discharge, or no, is it possible for the uterus to be opened even without a discharge of blood? That is the fundamental machlokes over here. We'll say, by the way, this has incredible contemporary applications as well. If a woman undergoes a procedure and the procedure requires some type of insertion of instruments right through the cervix into the uterus, there's some type of dilation. This also has ramifications in terms of Hilchos Niddah by childbirth, right? At what point in time in childbirth does a woman become a Niddah? If you hold that the EF shel psichas kever below dam, as soon as the uterus is open, there's blood that comes out, that could very well mean that as soon as a woman is a certain amount dilated, even halacha l'maaseh, before there's any show of blood, she still might be a niddah. That's the machlokes over here. So here we go. Obi plugto dahani tanoi. And I will say the machlokes ultimately again. So look here, Rashi, just a moment. Psichas hakever rechem below dam leida hilchach l'rabbanon kileka dam tahora. Va'afilu achaticha sha'aba minei dam dechaticha lav damhu elabasar v'lo amar dam achar ika va'anan hu delo chazinan dekasav rabbanon ershal psichas kever below dam. Rabbi Huda, afilu yiroka ulavana tamea, devadai dam acher hava va'anan hudalo chazinan, diefshal psiachas kever dam. Wow, boss! I say here we have it. Here we have it. Do you want to know what the machlokes is? Incredible. The machlokes between Rabbi Huda and the Rabbanon is: do we say that every time the uterus is open, there's automatically a discharge of blood or not? Rabbi Huda says yes. Yes. Rabbi Huda says as soon as the uterus is open, there is a discharge of blood, even if you don't see it, and even if the piece of flesh, we're assuming this piece of flesh is being discharged from the uterus, even halacha l'maaseh, if you don't see the blood, and even if the piece of flesh itself is of a non-problematic color, we assume there was blood, and therefore she's a niddah. The Rabbanan say, not true. That every time the uterus opens, is there automatically uterine blood that exits the body, or that exits the uterus, I should say. Therefore, the Rabbanan hold that Allah, if she expels a piece of flesh and there's no accompanying blood, she is absolutely tahora. That's the fundamental machlokes. So we'll say it's the following machlokes. We actually saw this case before. Kashta shnayim. So we'll say if a woman is, so the case over here is that she's in labor. She's in labor. So we'll say, now, interestingly enough, she's in labor. Rashi points out, again, we'll see the details of this case as well. So we'll say, remember again, we've spoken about this before, that on a biblical level, the niddah period of time lasts for 7 days. The 11 days after she's a niddah are the period of zivos, which means if she sees blood during that time, we don't consider that as niddah blood, but rather, again, that is ziva blood. So the case over here, she goes into active labor during those 11 days. So what happens? Kashta, so she's having difficulty in labor and she's bleeding as a result, and she gives birth. Ulishlishi hipila. The third day, nebach, she miscarries. Ve'ini yodas mahipila. But she doesn't know what she miscarried. Did she miscarry a birth? Did she miscarry a fetus? Or did she miscarry something else? Rashi says over so we'll say, here's what I know. I know she bled on 2 days. I know that on the third day she expelled something. But she doesn't know if one thing is clear, which is obviously she didn't have a living child. So the shaila is, did she miscarry, some type of aborted fetus, or did she go ahead and miscarry something that doesn't even have the halachic classification of a birth? So what's the halacha? Harezu safek leida safek ziva. So the Gemara says this is a case of safek leida safek ziva. We're not sure, right? Is she a zava? Remember again, if what she expelled is not a birth, then what is she? She's a zava. Right, she's bled on 3 days. But halacha l'maaseh, if she gave birth, then she's a yoledes. So we don't know what she is. So what does she do? Mevia karban ve'inonecha. So it says she brings a carbon out of safek, a carbon leida from safek, but it's not consumed. It's not consumed because we don't know her definitive status. Rabbi Shmuel says no. Mevia karban ve'necha. Rabbi Yeshua says no, she brings a carbon and it's consumed. Why? She afshar l'psichas hakever below dam. Because halacha l'maaseh, Rabbi Yeshua holds, once the uterus is open, halacha l'maaseh, there was dam. Therefore, halacha l'maaseh, she can bring the carbon and it's consumed. Lishnachrina, another version of, we're going to see that case in greater detail. Lishnachrina, another version of this exchange. Lishnachrina, Lishna Achrina Amrile, Amrav Yudah Shmuel. Lo time Rabbi Yehuda. This is now a different version of Shmuel's interpretation of Rabbi Yehuda. Lo time Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah. Lo time Rabbi Yehuda ela bechaticha shal arba minei damim. Rabbi Yehuda only said, Rabbi in the Mishnah, that if she expels a piece of flesh even without blood, that halacha lamaisa she is tamei nida. Only in what case? In a case of a chaticha that was of one of the four problematic colors. Aval shel shar minei damim. Rabbi say halacha lamaisa, if the chaticha was of a different color, not one of the four, ultimately again tahora. She is tahora. So we'll say, so this is a different, remember again, Rabbi, so this is a different interpretation. Ini, is this so? Vahakias Rabbi Shemin Arda. So we'll say, so now remember, this Ike de Amri, or this Lishna Achrina, is now kind of going to go through the whole conversation we just had on Amud Aleph. So the Gemara says, that's true, that Rabbi Yehuda is only metamei, a chaticha, that's one of the four problematic colors, but if the chaticha is a different color, then he's not metamei. Vahakias Rabbi Shemin Arda. When Rabbi Oshe came from Narda, he brought with him a ruling. What was the ruling? Hamapeles chaticha aduma shechori roko levana. If a woman miscarries, if a woman expels a chaticha, whether it's red, black, green, or white, im yesh ima dam tmeya. If there's blood together with the chaticha, she's tmeya. Ve'im lav tahora. But if not, she'll be tahora. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, ben kach u ben kach tmeya. Right? Whether there's blood, whether there's not blood, she's tmeya. So also you see in this version that what? Rabbi Yehuda is saying that even a chaticha that is green or white is problematic. To which the Gemara says, katani adumo shchora, yirako levano plig Rabbi Yehuda. So again, you're linking together all the different colors, and Rabbi Yehuda is still arguing and saying that they are all tamei. V'chi tema ki palig Rabbi Yehuda adumo shchora. Maybe we say, when does Rabbi Yehuda disagree in the case of red or black? Ava yirako levano lo. But in the case of yirako levano, ultimately again he will agree that halacha lamaisa it is tahar. The Gemara says, Eli Yiroko Ulavana Man Katanila. So if that's the case, why does the Brayse even feel the need to include the case of green and white? Ilema Rabbanon. If you want to say it's according to the Rabbanon, Hashta Aduma Ushechora Kamatai Rabbanon. We'll say if it's for the Rabbanon, and if the Rabbanon already matar in the case of where the piece of flesh is red or black, Yiroko Ulavana Miboy, do we even have to state the case of Yiroko and Lavana? I love Rabbi Yehuda, right? It must be Rabbi Yehuda, Upalik, and ultimately again Rabbi Yehuda is disagreeing and saying even in a case of a piece of flesh that is green or white, even if there is no dam, Rabbi Yehuda will say that she is Tameya. What's the svara there? Rabbi Yehuda, it actually changes it to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan, below dam kamiflagi. The machlokes between the Rabbanan and ultimately in Rabbi Yehuda is whether or not there can be an opening of the uterus without a discharge of blood. Just to repeat what we just said. Woman is in childbirth or active labor for 2 days, and on the third day she gives birth. First wide line chaf aleph amud beis. But she doesn't know what she expelled. Harezu safek leida, safek ziva, mevia carbon ve'nonecha. What's what we just already read before? Rabbi Yeshua says no. Mevia carbon ve'necha. Why? Lefi she'er shalapsichas hakever below dam. So both say. So therefore, again in this lishna achrina, the machlokes still comes out to be the same. So it turns out that the machlokes in Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan and the Mishnah Bosai is a yesodistic machlokes, not just simply about the status of a piece of flesh, but rather again we assume the piece of flesh comes from where? Comes from the uterus. For the uterus to expel that piece of flesh, the uterus had to have opened. The cervix has to have opened to come out. So the shaila is what happens when the uterus opens. Rabbi Yehuda says, below dam. Which means that whenever the uterus opens, ultimately again, halacha lemaisa, there's a discharge of blood. Whether you see the blood, whether you don't see the blood, it doesn't make a difference even what color the piece of flesh is. Halacha lemaisa, if the uterus is open, there's a discharge of blood. The Rabbanan say no. Not necessarily true, and therefore Allah Lamaisa, the only time that she will be Tameya is ultimately when? Is if this piece of flesh is accompanied by blood. But if it's just a solid piece of flesh and there's no accompanying blood, then Halacha Lamaisa she is going to be Tahora. We'll say how we paskin, we're going to see. So Tan Rabban, we'll say the Gemara goes on. We're on Chaf Aleph from the base, third wide line. Hamapelas Chaticha. We'll say if a woman miscarries a Chaticha. Sumchus Omer Mishum Rabbi Meir V'chin Hayr B'Shem Menashe Omer Kidvarav Korah. We'll say, so now we're advancing other brises about what to do with mapelas chaticha that are different than our Mishnah. So what should she do? She should take the piece of flesh, kora, and ultimately again, cut it open. Im yesh dam besocha, if there is blood inside of the piece of flesh, tameya, then ultimately again, she will be tameya. Ve'im lav, but ultimately if there's no blood inside the flesh, tahora. So this is now a new approach. So this new approach says that even if the chaticha was not accompanied by a flow of blood, open up the chaticha. If there's blood in it, then she's tameya. If there's no blood in it, then she's tahora. To which the Gemara says, kirabanan. So we'll say this opinion kind of resembles the Rabbanon, va'adifa mid Rabbanon. But ultimately, again, it's more chamer than the Rabbanon. How so? Kirabanan da'amri efshla psichas akera belodam. So we'll say, so first of all, this opinion holds like the Rabbanon, namely, that you can have an opening of the uterus without blood. So it is possible, I will say, that ultimately, again, this piece of flesh does not render her a niddah. That is possible. However, va'adifa, but it's more chamer than Rabbanon. Why? The Rabbanon, the inhu savri ima in besocha lo. Rabbi said the sheet of the Rabbanon is that if a woman expels a chaticha, the only time it is tameh is when? If the blood is on the outside accompanying the chaticha. But here, this opinion holds that even if the blood is on the inside, it shall also be tameh. Okay, good. What's another brayso? Hamapelas chaticha. A woman expels a piece of flesh. Rabbi says, Kora, she again opens it, she cuts it open. So we'll say, here comes along Rabbi says something even more chamer. Rabbi says she opens up the piece of flesh. If the piece of flesh is red on the inside, then ultimately again, Rabbi say, now red means what? It has a reddish color, but what? There's no tangible liquid blood, right? There's no blood there. It's red, she's tameya. But if it's not red, ultimately again she'll be tahora. To which the Gemara says, this opinion is like Sumchus and even more chamer than Sumchus. Because Sumchus said that what? Sumchus said even if there's no blood on the outside, but there's blood on the inside, she's tameya. This opinion is even more chamer. Because this opinion says what Rabbi say? Says what? Even if there's no actual blood, but what? Red. The inside is red. Halacha l'maisa, she's going to be tameya. Next, Tanya Idach, another brayso, hamapelas chaticha. So let's remember again, hamapelas chaticha. We'll see why this is relevant in just a little bit. Hamapelas chaticha, a woman expels a piece of flesh. Rabbi Yomin says, Kora, she cuts it open. Im yesh ba'etzem, if there is a bone inside of that piece of flesh, so tameya leida. The presence of a bone indicates that what Rabbi was saying, that this was actually some formation of a fetus. Therefore, again, she is tameya leida. Amrav chista ubechaticha levana. But I will say, in this case, that's only true if what? If ultimately, again, the piece of flesh was white. Because then it's an indication that ultimately, again, it's the formation of a fetus. So I'll say, when there was a group of rabbis, a pair of rabbis who came from the village of Chadyab, that was a place. They came and they brought a Mishnah, they brought a ruling with them. If a woman expels a piece of white flesh, Im yesh kora, she cuts it open. Im yesh ba'etzem, if there's a bone inside of it, imo tameya. Ultimately, again, the mother is tamei tumasle. The presence of a bone indicates what? Indicates that this is the formation of a fetus. Rabbi Yochanan is the name of Rashbi. Hamapelas chaticha. If a woman expels ultimately a chaticha, kora, she cuts it open. Im yesh ba'dam agur tameya. We'll say now another shita. If there's, we'll say, dam agar literally means stored, which means that there is dam, Rashi says dam harbe. If there is a lot of blood inside of the chaticha, then she's tameya. Ve'im lav, but ultimately, again, if not, tahora. Ultimately, she's tar. Kesumchos ukilos mikulos. We'll say this is like sumchos how? Because sumchos was the first one who introduced us to the concept that even if there's not a flow of blood with the chaticha, but there's blood inside the chaticha, that she's tameya. But this is more kal, right? This is more lenient than sumchos. Why? Because according to sumchos, Rabbi was saying any amount of blood inside of the chaticha renders her tameya. According to this approach, there has to be a significant amount of blood to render her tameya. But we'll say next. So we'll say this is actually a fascinating case. Haroe dam bishfoferes mahu. They will say, what happens? They will say the case is going to sound incredibly strange, but you're going to see actually, it isn't, well, let me say this. The case is strange. And I will say, but Lamaisa, you're going to see why halacha Lamaisa has such an incredible ramification, and why it's going to have contemporary ramifications as well. Let's say a woman sees dam through a shfoferes. So we'll say, what's the case here? So the case is where a tube is being inserted inside of the woman that ultimately enters into the cervix, and therefore when she bleeds from the uterus, the blood exits the body through a tube. So what's happening over here? What do we know for sure? That this is uterine blood, right? That I know. What's interesting about this is not passing through the body in a normative way, but rather, again, it's actually never coming in contact with the flesh. So it's not exiting through the vaginal canal. So it's exiting the body through a tube. So the Gemara says, what's the halacha if she sees blood, but the blood came out through a tube? Bivsara amrachmana v'lo b'shvafera. So we'll say the Torah speaks about dam bivsara, so in her flesh. So does that mean that the only time she's tameya is when the blood actually comes out through her flesh, through her body, in a normal way? However, if it's coming out through a tube, even though that's uterine blood, that does not make her niddah. O dilma, bifsara mi baile shemitame mi bifnim ki bachutz. We'll say, or maybe bifsara teaches us something else. What does bifsara teach me? Bifsara teaches me, we've spoken about this, that a woman becomes tamei tumas niddah as soon as the blood leaves the uterus, even though what? It's still inside of her body. That's what Bifsara teaches me. To which the Gemara says, Amrele Bifsara Amrachmana Belo Bishfoferes. To which he answered, no, Bifsara teaches me that what? That Allah Chalamais, a woman is only Tmeya if the dam niddah exits her body in a normal way, meaning through the flesh, through the vaginal canal leading out of the body. But halacha lamaisa, if there's a tube inserted into her, right, into the cervix, and the uterine blood is coming out through the tube, never coming in contact with her flesh, she is not tamei tumas niddah. The Gemara says, the Gemara says, Amrachman v'lo b'shafaris, Dei bivsara mi baile, shemetame mi bifni mi bachutz, because it will say, if you thought that bivsara only taught you that she becomes tameya as soon as the blood is dislodged from the uterus and it's inside of the body, imkein nemakra, the pasuk could have just said bisara. We'll say the pasuk could have just said bisara, my bifsara shmamina tardis. We'll say interestingly enough, the lashon of bifsara actually teaches me two halachas. Bifsara teaches me, number one, that she's metame mi bifnim ki mibachutz, that ultimately, again, as soon as the blood is dislodged from the uterus, even if it's still inside of the body, she is tameya. That's number one. But number two, it also teaches me that what? That in order for a woman to become tamei tumas niddah, the blood has to flow out normally, which means that the uterine blood must have contact with the cervix, with the vaginal canal, and exit the body normally. If you do something to interrupt that process, for example, insert a tube into the cervix that the uterine blood is coming out without touching the body, halacha lemaisa, that is not uterine blood. So the Gemara says, is that true? Rabbi Yochanan Hamapelas Chaticha Kora Im Yesh Badam Agar Tmei Vem Lav Tahora. Rabbi said to which the Gemara said, but 1 second. You just said for Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shimon that what? If a woman expels a piece of flesh, what does she do? She cuts it open. If there's blood on the inside, then she's Tmei Tumas Niddah, and if not, she's Tahora. Then Rabbi said, what do you see from here? Now that's a case where what? So Rabbi said, it's actually interesting. Technically speaking, what's happening over here? The blood is not touching the vaginal canal, right? The blood is not touching the body. The blood is encased in a piece of flesh. And yet we're saying it's tameya. So you see from here that blood need not touch the inside of the body in order for it to be tameya. Which says that's not a fair comparison. Hachi hashta hasam darka shal isha liras dam bechaticha. Hacha in darka shal isha liras dam bishfoferes. The Gemara says that's not really a fair comparison. It is the derech of a woman to see dam encased inside of a piece of flesh. It is not the derech of a woman to bleed through a tube. So therefore, halacha lemaisa, the blood inside of the piece of flesh is still considered to be normative. Therefore, she can become tamei tumas niddah. But the tube itself is such an interruption of the normative process that halacha lemaisa, that if she bleeds through the tube, she will not become tamei tumas niddah. So stop over here. We'll pick up with the Shfoferes case in Meretz Hashem tomorrow.